Hey everybody, it's Adam from IHP. We're here for episode 3 of JC Unplugged. Got the IHP staff here at our weekly staff meeting. We got about 4 or 5 questions. I think it's good. 4, so just like always, we're going to get right into it. First question is, what causes the body to shake during isometric exercises, such as a plank? And is it a good or a bad thing? Do you know?
Not really. I mean, if shaking is a muscle spasm, uncontrollable muscle spasm, so if you want to look at, you shake because you're freaking getting tired, okay? Now what the mechanism is probably asynchronous motor unit firing. So when you get tired, the central nervous system stops being able to send impulses in a synchronous fashion, and it starts sending like this, so not everything holds. These turn on, these turn on, these turn on, and it's like that. So then you start trembling. That's what it is. And you'll find that different exercises through different ranges of motion, you will tremble, and then when you pass that range of motion, you don't tremble. Like in a pull-up, you'll find that. In a sit-up, you'll find that. There are certain ranges of motion that are usually taken care of by momentum. When you slow it down and you use muscular contraction, the body doesn't know how to synchronize that particular range, and you'll shake. So that's what it is. You're tired. You're tired and you're weak. It'll work.
What methods do you use or would you suggest for hypertrophy for an advanced client? So someone's got maybe a strong training base.
Different levels of different work.
Well, just what methods do you use for hypertrophy for an advanced client?
Oh, there's a ton, man. There's a ton from the 1970s. This is nothing new. Breakdown set, super set, giant sets. There's a gazillion. Play with the time under tension. So there's 50 million ways. So if you're doing this, one of the easiest ways to change the stimulus is, you know, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Time under tension is a way to do it. Pre-fatigue, you know, go from single joint to multi-joint. Old what was it? Nautilus type of stuff. Sets to failure, supersets, breakdown sets. You got a ton. You got a ton. You look up you go on the internet and look up bodybuilding methods, and you will see 50 different types of ways you can stimulate different muscle growth. Okay, so this is.
All right, this is going to be a short one today. What is absolute strength, and how does functional training improve absolute strength for a specific sport like swimming? But then I would say, for how would it help multiple sports?
All right, so you have 3 types of strengths, I guess, you know. I'm sure you can invent 50 million more strengths, but basically you have absolute. Okay? This is how much you can lift. How much you lift on a bench press, 300 pounds. That's your absolute strength. Then you have your relative strength. This is where the term pound per pound comes in. Pound per pound, he's stronger. So there's a 300-pound guy. He lifts 300 pounds. Okay? 300-pound body weight. 300-pound bench press. Let's put it this way. Okay? And you have this guy here who weighs 200 pounds, okay? And he lifts 225. This guy is absolutely stronger. This guy is relative, because relative is weight lifted divided by body weight. Got it? So the stronger you are per body weight, the more you can do with your body. For example, gymnasts, pound per pound, are just animals, what these guys can do. All right, you can't get a 300-pound lineman and have him hold an iron cross. It's never going to happen. You can't get these guys to lift and do doubles and triple somersaults. So you need a pound per pound strength. And you're not going to find that very easily in a 200-pound guy. That's why gymnasts are 135, 145, 150. All right? And then you have functional strength. Okay, let's continue with the bench press analogy. All right, you have a 300-pound, 200-pound bench press. All right, this position is how? Here's your bench, and here's the person with their arms back, and then, well, a little bit too much. Let's go. That's that. Boom, boom, and then the weight's there. Got it? Okay. There's your bench press. All is here, right through the shoulder girdle. There's nothing here going on. Big bench pressers are, and so what we did find, Dr. Stu McGill and I, when we compared this to a static press, was that the latissimus, the back muscle, really fires up. And it fires up to create, like let's say if you do a close-up, and the bench is here, the pelvis will be here, and you'll have this thing here, this arch. Why? Because what's happening is they're trying to get the lower fibers of the pecs and converting this into a decline bench press. So imagine this. If I go like this and I arc, all right, number one, I have a shorter range of motion relative to here. Look at this range and watch. This lever arm closes, okay? Number two, the pec fibers are the longitudinal fibers, the longest. So I got the most amount of fibers being able to contract. That gives me the most amount of strength. The least amount of shoulder here. So this mechanics helps the bench press. You'll see all power lifters arch, drop it really low, shorten the range of motion, get the right fibers of the pec, take out the little guys from the delt, bingo, beautiful. Got it? So look at all the mechanics that are happening. Now, functional. What's functional? Being able to push your opponent from the standing position. All right, what's the standing position? Okay, we studied that position here. Of course, we're pushing in that direction from this angle. All right, and we notice from here that the chest works about 80 to 85% of its 1RM. Right? The core, especially the anterior core, is about 30 to 40. Somewhere in there. Okay? I forgot the exact numbers, but those are the ranges. Okay? When you do this, this core works to about 70 to 80, let's say. And the chest, 30 to 40. It's an inverse correlation from laying down to standing up. It's very difficult to get a number there. Anybody knows how much they bench press, but if I say, what's your chest press? Well, it depends. Lateral position. Is it a wide stance? Am I leaning forward? All that stuff. So we study a very standard position that you have to standardize for the sake of experimental design. And we had this base here, this length was from the iliac crest to the floor. The width was the acromion to acromion. And the rules were you could not violate that line. You couldn't move your body forward. All right? So what we found is that from this position, if you apply the load at the shoulder axis and you go straight forward, the body can only use about 30 to 40% of body weight. Pretty much like this. Okay? If I fix this, there's going to get to a point where I tilt. It's not a lot of weight. If I push lower, I can push harder. If I push higher, I need less weight. At some point, if this person was standing and the weight's coming this way, they're facing that way, at some point that front foot would come up. That load is about 30 to 40%. So to give you an idea, let's say I weigh 100 kilos, 25 pounds. I would only be using about 40 kilos here, about 80 pounds would move me. Now granted, if I get down low, I can cheat this position. But we couldn't say unlimited positions because we had to do the study. So from this standing position, okay, this is all you can do. So what's functional? If you want to create alignment, a wrestler, whatever, what's functional? This doesn't mean anything. Okay? This is what means something. So can we use these exercises to improve muscle mass and to improve some general strength? Yeah, but sooner or later you got to get this person standing and pushing in that position in order to get the stability, the structure that you need, all right, to stabilize that position. And then, if possible, teach them the cheating mechanics, all right? How to get low, below their opponent, bring the center of mass up. You got to get below your person, bring them up. Those are then tactical and technical elements that you tie in to your functional training. But this is functional strength. This is relative strength. This is absolute. You can use this as a base for this, but there's no substitute for this. Sorry for the long-winded explanation, but that is really the complete picture, so you know, when you say, oh, function, you know what it means. You know where it came from.
These numbers came from the article a study, well, your study was published in an article with Dr. Stu McGill and
No, just in Garcia,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's in the NSCA, so if you go to the NSCA and you put Stu McGill, Santana, Vera Garcia, you will see this one, where we compare the press, the standing press to the bench press, and all the specific numbers and statistical analysis and all that stuff you get. And I'm not that guy. I'm telling you, if I tell you about the percentages and the EMGs and the reading and all that, I didn't answer any of that when the critiques came in. That's Dr. Stu McGill. My thing is this: what to compare, how to explain it, how to apply it. That's what I do.
And here too, you're talking about a lot of muscle isolation here,
Yeah.
a lot of multiple muscular systems going on down here.
This is where core stiffness predicates what the chest can do. Instead of the other way around. The chest can go crazy here without even calling the core. But in real life, your chest can't fire, which is where you can't fire a cannon from a canoe. Where do you think that came from? That was specifically for the bench press and the standing press. You cannot use this 300-pound bench. There's no way you can use it here. All right? This foot would come up, you would go backwards. What is the limiting factor in what you can prove? Well, look at the firing. The limiting factor is the stability of the core. That's why core stuff is important. This is functional strength.
That's you and your finest right here.
Yeah, this is nice stuff.
All right, one more question. You guys, whoever has a camera, take a picture of that, please, because I think you might want to use the board again. The next question is, why do you use the anterior reach and a single leg squat to evaluate and/or improve running?
Oh, that's easy. Okay,
Did you get that?
I can even do it here.
There you go, Razor. There you go,
You can raise it, go ahead.
All right. To improve running. Running is the first pillar. The first pillar is locomotion. And this is how you have to create training systems and create educational systems where I don't have to tell you, oh, research shows. Anybody who starts doing what the research shows, anybody starts talking about research shows, I start running the other way, just out of reaction, you know. Why? Because research doesn't show. That's why. Now, locomotion, okay? 1 foot, right, and I don't care if it's lateral, running, whatever, it's 1 foot. Specificity of training says that you have to train specifically to get a specific adaptation. So single foot activities is the 7 frame. This hip is suspended in midair, there's your leg, your foot here, and this is it. This is the key joint right there. If this is unstable, you're going to inhibit everything from core to butt to hamstring, quads, everything. So we need the 7 frame. All right, so right off the bat, the 7 frame is single leg. So right off the bat, I'm into anterior reaches and single leg squats. Okay, now why each one? The anterior reach, okay? The anterior reach kind of works the 3 amigos this way. All right? When you stand up, and this is a fixed point, you're moving your hips forward. So the anterior reach works the 7 and the horizontal component of human locomotion, which is the first pillar. Easy. And it teaches the whole extensor chain. Of particular interest, you have the hamstrings, which have traditionally been taught to flex the knee, which they don't flex the knee. They extend the hip. And they work econcentrically, which is crazy when you're running, because they work eccentrically at the knee, concentrically at the hip at the same time. And that's why it's a very complicated move. That's why you see certain things like deadlifts and leg extensions and leg curls done, and people still getting hamstring pulls. Why? Because they don't see this movement, and they don't work the hamstring econcentrically. The anterior reach is about as close, other than running, as you can get to that. So this works on the horizontal component of human locomotion. Cool. Now, the single leg squat, let's give them a little bit more. Okay? The single leg squat, which is going to be more like that. It's a little bit more knee flexion. Works on the vertical component, because when you're running, and it's pull, all right? But at the moment you land, you have this vertical component where you're attenuating gravity. And depending on the research you read and how fast you're going, you could be 5, 6, 7, 8 times body weight. So that's a lot on that number 7. That's a lot on the number 7. Imagine a room like this, if you took 1 wall, 2 walls, 3 walls away, and you just had this wall and that joint. How strong would that have to be to hold up 2 or 3 floors? You can just imagine this joint up here would have to be just massive in order to hold a whole 2nd floor with nothing holding. That's what you're asking the body to do when it runs. So you specifically have to consider single leg exercises. So this works the vertical component. So it's just simple, man. It's here. Okay, because when you run, you don't bend here. It's this. So seniors, like this. This is running, or this is walking for seniors. And then you do the single leg ankle pumps, and now you get seniors that have that little skip to their walk. How do seniors walk when they lose their ability to walk? They shuffle and they don't displace vertically. Why? Shuffling is the only way you can walk with 2 legs on the floor at the same time. What do they miss? They miss that. Boom, boom. That skip to their walk. It almost looks like they're skipping. There's vertical displacement. That's it. That's it. Okay, so that's why we use both. Posterior, more knee, more vertical. Horizontal component, vertical component. Those are money. And that's why you use them to evaluate and to improve locomotion. What do I have a problem with? I have problems with evaluation systems that evaluate function, yet the evaluation has nothing to do with function. For example, overhead squatting. What does that have to do with anything? So a mom comes in and says, my back hurts. Why? Because I pick up children, I have 3 kids, blah, blah, blah. At 3 o'clock, my back is on fire. What are you going to do? An overhead squat with her? It's going to tell you nothing. That's like having a medical student do an engineering exam in order for you to evaluate what kind of medical student they're going to be. Say, but both of them use math. This one uses math for chemistry equations. This one uses math for angles and bridges. Different math. Get it? So the overhead squat for mom means nothing. A wood chop or just a deadlift will tell you, because if mom comes in and does that, you go, no problem. The reason you get tired is because you use your back all the time. Look at you, stiff-legged, rounded back. We're going to teach you how to use your legs and your hips, the 3 amigos and all that. Problem solved in 2 weeks. You're not going to get that data unless you have or pick up something that resembles a kid. The overhead squat does not. Laying down, putting your leg up, sit and reach, dislocation, touching back in here. What does that have to do with function? These 2 exercises have everything to do with the function of human locomotion, and that's what we use. I threw a little bit of the evaluation in there so you can understand where we come from, how we got to these 2. And that is through the principle of specificity.
You good? You got it all out? You got it?
I'm good, baby.
All right, guys, that wraps it up. We'll see you in a couple of weeks for JC Unplugged. Like always, send us some questions. We'd love to hear from you guys. Don't always wait for our webinar, which I'm sure Rio will be making an announcement soon for what our next webinar will be. And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
And if you really want to learn live, our mentorships are going off the chain in English and in Spanish. We're not going to group you with 60 people. This is not a Tony Robbins. Go to the beach and work out and we are the world. Nah, this is in here with me, 1, 2, 3 people, all right? Real private stuff going on, right across here, immediate application. This ain't no cheerleading section. This is an education vacation. The mentorships. Look us up.
See you guys in a couple of weeks.